Hey, welcome back to the channel, and in today's video we're gonna recreate this earpods pro POV edit that I did in After Effects. Let's get started. Alright, let's import the footage inside After Effects. And I also have the assets here. The project file and all the assets are available on my Patreon page. That's also the way you can support what I do. I would really appreciate that. Let's import all the assets here. I'm gonna create a new folder just to stay organized. I'll call it assets, and I'm gonna move everything inside this asset folder. Okay, so let's drag and drop the footage inside the new composition icon here, or you can just drag it here, and that creates a new composition. And first things first, let's go ahead and track the camera. Okay, so make this a full resolution, track the camera, go to advanced, check this detail analysis, and let's wait for After Effects to do its thing. Meanwhile, if you're just starting out with After Effects, I have a course for you. That's Beyond Premiere, a beginner's guide to After Effects. It's on my website, motionschool.in. The link will be there in the description down below. And if you apply the coupon code that I attach in the description, so you'll also get a discount. And if you want to support me, that's also the way you can support what I do. I would really appreciate that. Alright, the tracking has been done, and if you scrub through the timeline, you can see the tracking points, and maybe somewhere around here, I'll just select these points. I'm going to create, right click, and I'm going to create a solid end camera, and we're going to add a text here. So grab the text, and alright, so let's just scale it up, and I'm using this font, which is from Adobe Font, Feel Gothic, this one. Once you adjust the text, you can just make this a 3D layer. Hold down Shift and pick and parent it to the solid. That will position this text to the solid. Unlink this and maybe shut off the eye for the track. And I'm going to adjust the text. You can scale up and rotation and position wherever you want on the screen. Alright, that's perfect. And what I'm going to do is create some text animation. So we've covered it enough. I'm going to collapse that, add a position. I'm going to move this way up. It will start from here and negative 500, and range selector, go to advanced. Let's make some room here and go to ramp up, and let's just go and ease low to 100 and ease high to maybe 50. And I'm going to start the animation of this offset from a negative 100 somewhere around here, and set a keyframe and go forward few frames, and I'll set this to 100, right? So if you play it back now, that's really slow, I guess. Move up the position even more. All right, once you're happy adjusting the settings here, you can just go and add a property opacity, which is going to start from 0, and you can also add a blur here, which starts from maybe 50 to 100, depending on what you want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this, and I'm going to shift and pick whip it to the solid and unparent this, and I can just scale it up. So I can just add in an effect called fill. I can just make it black. Later on we're going to rotoscope the hand, so it's going to be fine. All right, so I'll add some Gaussian blur. We need some Gaussian blur there, maybe 10. All right, so let's just lower the opacity so that it match with this color. Okay, so that's gonna be fine for now, and we're gonna add some opacity, Gaussian blur animation to this, because the closer we are moving to the subject, it's gonna be out of focus. So let's just select this. I'm gonna add a Gaussian blur, and I'm gonna animate this. The blurriness should start from around 5, because I don't want it to be super sharp. Maybe around here at 50, or maybe even more than that, 100. Yep, the animation is too fast here. I can move this. Let the text slide down, and then it goes up. All right, so we have done the first part. Just clean up the timeline. So once we have that shadows and this thing, after it cross that, we don't need the shadows, which is this. Hold down Alt and the right square bracket, and we're gonna cross that, and we don't need that. I'm gonna just do that. Even this one, trim it out, and I can, just color code this to stay organized, make it yellow. All right, so the first part is done, and the second is the music selection, which is going to be, just click on the footage and select the camera tracker to see the tracking points. So I want this to be far away, way far back, somewhere around here maybe. Yep. Right click, create solid. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag first screenshot, which is this, and I'm going to scale it down a touch. I will just mask out the time and the Wi-Fi signals and all, right? So just double click on this rectangle tool while selecting on the layer. Double click that will create a mask. Double click here, and you can just trim it away, and you can even also trim this one away. Okay, I will pre-compose this. Okay, Control Shift and C, and move all attributes and adjust duration to the time span, and I will just rename this song _1. Okay, hit OK, and I'm gonna just make this a 3D layer, parent this to the tracking, the solid layer that we have just generated earlier, and parent this, scale it up, and you'll have to adjust the rotation and the position for this, right? So take your time and do that. Okay, so once you are happy with that, you can just, change this blending mode. If you don't see this, you can just toggle this switch and set this to screen. And I'm going to create a text again. So I'll just create the time 9:30, make it a 3D layer, and shift and parent it to the pre-comp. Move it up, and you can even scale it up. Just collapse this. And I'll just copy this animator, Control C to copy, collapse that, and go and paste it here. Control V to paste it. Hit U to reveal the keyframes, and I'll trim this. Hold down Alt and the left square bracket. And once you are there, it comes down there, right? I think it should reveal this somewhere here. This song. All right, so we will do the animation of this, right? Click on this pen behind tool, and I will move the pen behind tool here. And the reason why I did that is I'm gonna animate the scale, and it's gonna scale from the bottom like that. Right, let's see when I open up my AirPods Pro, right somewhere here, I want the animation to start. So I'm gonna set a keyframe for the scale, hit S to bring up the scale, set a keyframe, Shift and P, I think I will also animate the position as well, and move few frames, and I'll just move this here, and I'll go back to the first frame here of this layer, and maybe I'm gonna move this down a touch, and maybe I'm gonna scale this to a 0. And if it comes up like that, right now it's really slow. We'll just select all the keyframes, hit F9 for easy ease, and go to the graph. Right now we have value graph, so I will work on speed graph. Just check this and check edit speed graph, it'll be fine. Okay, so if you tweak the graph like this and go back to the normal timeline and see, all right, that's really slow. I think that's really slow, so let's move it closer. All right, that's great. And one more effect that I add here was warp. So what I did was bend maybe 8, vertical distortion to maybe a negative 100. Okay, so maybe 10. All right, so let's just animate the values of this. So once you have fit there, I will start the animation from here. So set a keyframe for the bend and for the vertical distortion, and scrub through the timeline, and right about here I want this to not bend at all, and not have a vertical distortion at all. Okay, so hit U to bring up the keyframes. I'm going to set F9 for easy ease and change the graph to something like this again. And if you play it back, you see that that's really cool. Okay, let's just move on to the next one. Let's just go here. It's gonna swipe. So for this kind of animation, we have already covered it in our previous tutorial, so I will not cover this again. If you haven't watched that, go ahead and watch this video, and I will skip this part and I will continue with the rest of the animation. Okay, so let's go back here, and once I take out my earpods pro, so what I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna duplicate the footage, Control D to duplicate it, delete the 3D camera tracker. I'm gonna delete that. Okay, let's scrub through the timeline and let's just zoom this in, and let's focus on the earpods, and we're gonna find a spot where we can track it. Okay, we're gonna track this black area, so I'm gonna start somewhere around here, and I'm gonna trim this track layer, and I'm gonna move forward and up until here. Okay, trim that. Let's track the motion and make sure you're at the full resolution, and let me just put it here, and let's track frame by frame like this. All right, it's going off. Let's adjust. If it is not accurate, you can always adjust it. So that is the reason why I did it manually. Oops, frame by frame like this. Okay, should be fine now. Let's just play. All right, the tracking is done. Let's create a new null object, and I'm gonna trim that to the length of that video clip here, and I can just rename this to track info. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go and select the track, go to edit target. I'm gonna select the null object, which is track info, hit OK, apply the X and Y axis, hit OK. Okay, so I'm gonna close this out, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to create a new composition, and I'm gonna create this connected, and I'm gonna make the resolution to 500 by 200. Hit OK, and I want to find this earpods image, and I will create a rounded rectangle, something like this. We don't need the stroke, just black, and make it transparent so that we can see here. Just go to the rectangle and increase the roundness, and I'm going to move this below that, and I think I'm going to set the opacity of this to 50, maybe to 80 if I want, and I can just write a text here, and I'm going to duplicate this, and you can design this in Photoshop and bring it inside After Effects, but it gets the job done like this as well. Lower the opacity of this connected to 50, and you can just take your time to design this. I'll just leave that for now, and I'm gonna go back to the main comp here and just drag and drop this connected just on top of this null object, and you can just trim the length like this, and I'm gonna scale it down. Go to the first frame. Well, I'm gonna reposition it. I can just turn off this solid layer, and I'm gonna parent this to the tracking information. There we have it connected all the time. Okay, so all we have to do is animate the opacity and position like this. P, Shift and T, and right about there I want the opacity and animation. I mean the position. Move the position up a little bit and make this 0. Select all the keyframes, F9. You can just leave that like that, or you can just animate the opacity to make it even smoother. 0. Okay. All right, now I'm going to show you how I did that UI animation just after selecting this song. Okay, so I'll just assume this is the song right here. I just go inside this pre-comp here. I'll just set a marker, hit star on the keyboard to set a marker. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a rectangle here to fit this, right? Roughly, that's the rectangle. I'll just call it mask, and I will animate the scale, size, position, and roundness here. Okay, I'm going to start from here. I'll just hold down shift and page down 4 times. I'll just unlock this constraint proportion, and I'll just want to scale the y-axis maybe to around this one, and I want to move the position up here, and I'm going to add the roundness, something like that. Okay, all the keyframes, F9, and I can change the graph like this. Okay, duplicate this, and I'll just rename this to UI, and shut off the eye, and I want to select this image and map the layer to the mask so that it masks out like this. Okay, and what I'm going to also do is hit P, and I'll just go to this point, set a keyframe for the position 1 2 3 4, and I'm going to slide this up here, select all the keyframes, F9, and also animate the position, the opacity of this, maybe 1 2 3 4, set it to 0. All right, so I'll do the same, F9 for easy ease, and change the graph like this. And if you play back now, you can see that can't see anything here. You can see that it has been masked nicely. And I will turn on the UI, which is this, and change the color to white. Go to the asset and drop in the next button pose, drop it here. Scale it down to maybe around 9. Hit P, I'm going to move it up here. No, I think I should scale it up even more. And I will just position this pose in the middle here. And the next button should go to the right. And then duplicate it, right click, transform, flip horizontal, and move it to the left there. Select all of this, and just align it roughly to the center here. And I will also animate the position and opacity of this too. 1 2 3 4. Set the keyframes there. There. And go back to the first keyframe, and I will move this down and move the opacity to 0. Select all the keyframes, F9 for easy ease, make the graph like this. It's really a simple process. All right, so let's just go back to the main footage and let's see what we have here. So if you see here, it's all white. That is because the UI is on top of the main image screenshot. So this is the UI. I'm just gonna move this below the screenshot, and that will overlap like that. I'm gonna just select the pen tool and draw the progress bar here. Make this black stroke. Can increase that. Just duplicate it and lower the opacity of the first one to 30, and on the second duplicate layer I can just add a trim path, and I can just decrease this, and you can see the progress here. And you can just design this however you want. You can just put on a favorite and airdrop and all. You just can put anything you want here. I also added some text here, so I'm just gonna leave that for now. because that's a very simple thing. Let's go back to the main comp here. And what I also did was I added some text on the floor here. So, you know, the process remains still the same. So I will just leave that for your training purpose. You can just, you know, take the whole idea what I've shown you, and you can just apply the same concept here. And I will also not do the rotoscoping because I've already covered it many times in my tutorial and also in the previous tutorial. You can go ahead and check that out. And the last and final thing that I added was a glow, which is really common these days. It's very trending. So let's add a glow, you know, just add a glow to the text. I copy the glow, that's the glow, and you can also add it on here. You can just adjust the threshold and radius, and in here as well, where is the connected. And if you want to learn how to rotoscope your hand, watch this video. This is Motion Designer, and I will see you in my next video. Take care.